Hi guys, welcome back to Tumbler Talk with LittleLee and Rose. This is Summer Noel. Today I'm going to be doing, you guys have been watching me work on this cup. We started with just the base paint, then we added the chunky glitter. Now we're going to make it into a super fun double layered glitter peekaboo. I call this the everything but the kitchen sink. As you see, all the tools we have here is like everything we could possibly throw on this cup we're going to. So we have it done with the chunky layer underneath, and then we're going to make it peekaboo, and we're going to do a double layer of glitter over the top. So this is going to be like uber sparkly. A lot of the peekaboos that I see, it's just done with paint over the top instead of glitter. So I want him to show this so you guys see there are options to be able to double glitter this sucker and just make it super duper duper sparkly. So you can really use any decals that you want. I'm going to go with the mermaid theme because I think it's going to be gorgeous with the colors. So I'm going to put a mermaid on it. I've got some mermaid tails, scales printed out. But you can really do this with any shapes or whatever. You could print out your name and do your name or however you want to do it. So that part is totally up to you. Also colors are up to you. This is just to show you the method of how to make it work. All right, so you can see I've got my supplies ready. You want the base paint color for whatever. I'm going to be doing this aqua color. So it's going to be coral and aqua. I'm just using a cheap or coral glitter today. I mean aqua glitter or turquoise or whatever color you want to call this. This one's just from Michael's. It's super cheap. You've got the base paint color that matches. You're going to need a clear coat spray. I use matte so that the epoxy grips better. You want your nitrile gloves. These are very important for safety. You want to make sure they're nitrile, not just plain latex. You've got my epoxy ready. You're going to need Mod Podge. I'm going to apply it with this really awesome silicone applicator. So I'm going to apply the Mod Podge with this, then I'm going to clean this, and I can apply my epoxy with this as well. I've got my torch ready for bubbles at the end. You want to definitely make sure you wear a chemical mask when you work with your epoxy. It's very important. I don't see that mentioned enough. This is very, very important. And if you're not doing it, you could give yourself very easily respiratory problems and asthma or cancers and all kinds of stuff. So you want to make sure when you are mixing and working with your epoxy, you wear this. Then you're going to need some transfer paper to be able to apply your stickers. And that should be pretty much the bulk of the tools. I might be throwing one in here and there as we go along. I'm going to be doing this on a turner, but if you don't have a turner, you can do the hang method. But like I said, it takes a lot more layers doing the hang method. For ease and quickness today, we're going to be doing this one on the turner. But if you have not heard of the hang method, jump back on some of my other tutorials. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. I actually have a specific tutorial just on hang method, and then on some other cups I do the hang method for all the glittering. All right, so I am going to get set up to start this cup, and we will be right back. Okay, so you can see here I've got my decal ready. I've got my transfer paper over the top. I use this nifty tool to rub it down, make sure it's really, really stuck on there well. And I am going to go ahead and stick this sticker on. If you've never watched me apply a vinyl decal, you will get to see it here for the first time. So what I do to make sure I press it down and get it on there good. So the color of the vinyl does not matter, guys. I'm just using this red because I have a ton of it. I bought a big old 10-foot roll and I still have a ton left. So I was like, I'm just going to use that as my stencil paper because I have a lot of it. So what you want to do is fold it in the middle, not completely fold it, just bend it. So that gives you the middle. And I just take it and place it. And so since I know that that's kind of the middle, I put it right down like this. And it looks good. And then I just slowly work it down the cup, one side at a time. Oop, got a little ripple. So if when you're doing this kind of application and it's the final, like it's going to be the end, and you're not going to be covering the decal, you'll want to put it down with less wrinkles. And the way you can do that is by cutting into this vinyl, the transfer paper, so you can bend it and manipulate it a little bit better. But because I know that I'm going to be peeling this off and lifting it away, having some little creases in it isn't going to make too big of a deal. So I'm not going to stress about it for just time-sensitive purposes. I'm just going to lay this down, get it on there, just like that. And then this side I'm going to roll down as well. Same, just kind of slowly work it down. And you can see I've got a crease there, but I'm not going to worry about it because, again, I'm going to be removing this vinyl, so the crease isn't going to really make a difference. We're just getting this on there to make sure that the shape of the mermaid is on the cup very well, really well. Okay. And I just kind of give it a good rub, final rub, and pull it away. And I'm going to take the same piece of contact paper because I conserve everything, and I'm going to actually use it to do the second decal. Again, guys, you can decal with whatever you want. You can mimic this cup and do it exactly like this. I don't mind. Doesn't bother me at all. Some people have reached out and said, oh, you know, out of respect, I'm not going to make it identical. But honestly, guys, I put these out there so you guys can. I love it. I think it's a very big form of flattery. You guys love what I make and want to make the exact same cup, and that is totally fine. That's why I put it out there for you guys. So if you want to make it exactly like this, you go ahead. So these, see the creases? I'm just making sure they're pressed down really, really well. This one is actually not even creased. It's actually lifted up a little bit. So I'm just going to, I just lifted up with my X-Acto knife just a little bit. And I worked that. So see, some of these are, they're not just creased. This one's actually buckled up. So I'm just making sure that it's pressed down real firm. All right, there we go. And you just want to make sure the edges are down firm to the cup, even with the crease, because you don't want paint getting underneath there. So I'm just pressing the creases down. Even they'll still be there, but at least the edges of the crease will be firm to the cup so paint can't get underneath it. Okay, but like I said, if you want to avoid that, you can just cut the transfer paper and do it, and then be able to move and manipulate your transfer paper. Okay, so we're gonna, I'm just finding the exact middle, laying this down because I'm gonna put the exact same decal on the opposite side. I want to make sure there's a lot of this beautiful coral color showing through on this cup. I don't want this to be a predominantly blue cup. So I'm going to be putting a lot of decals on it to do the peekaboo, so that it gets a lot of detail on the cup, and there's quite a bit of the coral color showing once we're finished. So that's why I'm double decaling this cup. So I just lift it, I just bend it to the middle, so that way I find the middle of my decal. I place it down, and again, just roll it down, one side at a time. Whoops, push that too fast. There we go. And again, you can worry about these creases, but I don't. It's just too time consuming to really super fuss about it, especially for this tactic, because like I said, we are going to be removing this vinyl, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's just there to add a barrier with the spray paint. I normally don't do this stuff on camera, guys. I don't make you watch these tedious, but there are a lot of new people watching the channel now, and I want to make sure they get the total gist of this. So I save my decal off the side, put it off the side here, and I'm going to go through and do the exact same thing and press down all the little creases really well. Okay, so then in this section, what I'm going to do, we are back. You saw me do that real quick. I'm going to apply the mermaid scales or fish scales. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a heavy amount of them on the bottom, and then I'm going to sprinkle a few of the larger ones, and then I'm going to sprinkle a few of these smaller ones throughout this empty space here, just so we get a few little peekaboos of it. So like, again, so we get a lot of this coral peeking through. So I'm going to put you guys on high speed so you can watch me apply these decals, and we will be right back. So as you guys saw in that part, I was just adding these decals for the, it's going to be what we pull away and what's going to give the peekaboo. So I put the larger scales on the bottom. I put the smaller scales on top just for a little extra detail. Like I said, I want a lot of this coral chunky glitter to show through. Everything that doesn't have vinyl on it now will be blue and blue glitter in the end. So I'm going to go take this outside, and I'm going to give it, I'm going to do spray paint this and get no drips. If you don't, if you're not proficient at spray painting, go back on my YouTube channel. I have a really good video on how to spray paint a tumbler with no drips. I'm going to use that method to cover this, and we will be back. Okay, guys, even the best of us have epic fails. So I Mod Podged the cup and then had to step away from us for a second but by the time I came back, the Mod Podge had already started drying. So when I went to pour on it, it did not stick. So we're going to do it with this multi-purpose spray adhesive. And I'm going to do it in layers. So I'm just going to spray the spray adhesive on the cup. Get a good solid layer. And then sprinkle your glitter onto the spray adhesive. Okay. And then I'm gonna, ooh, I don't want to do that over the glitter. Hang on. Move the glitter so we don't spray any, I don't want to spray adhesive onto that glitter, because it will ruin the glitter. So then we'll do glitter this side and the bottom. Sprinkle it on. Okay. Transfer the glitter. This is why I don't like having the lids on the glitter, because when I transfer, I don't want to have to try to get the top open. Okay. And I just dump glitter. I don't, for this, there's no, you don't need a special technique just to get the glitter on. Transfer the glitter easily. Keep sprinkling. Make sure everything has got a good coat on it. Okay, I'm just going to go through and look. Okay. All right, so there's that. Let me dump this glitter. Okay, so the spray adhesive works just fine. It's everyone's personal preference on what you like to use. Mod Podge, spray adhesive. Okay, I'm just gonna... Okay, we're gonna move that out of the way. And bring the cup back down. Sorry, I only had so many hands. I couldn't do it all at once. Bring the cup back down. And this is why I'm wearing the gloves, because you want to take that and you want to press the glitter to the cup. By doing this, it's going to make it easier for you to see that vinyl underneath, to be able to remove it. All right, so we're gonna let this sit. I'm gonna let this dry probably for about an hour. Spray adhesive doesn't really dry, but I wanted to set up just a little bit because it doesn't dry, but it will. Sorry, there's a little tiny, tiny spot right there where the glue popped through. Okay. But spray adhesive will set up. So spray adhesive, when you first spray it, will become more of like a permanent stick. If you let it dry on the cup, it becomes a temporary stick. So that is why I applied right away, because I want to have like a firm grip on this glitter so that I don't accidentally scrape it away when I start pulling off those decals. All right, guys, so we're gonna let this sit for a while and we'll be back to strip those decals out of the middle. So this is the point where it gets pretty tricky. So you kind of, have to kind of remember where you stuck your sticker so you know where to look. This is also why the little ripples in the sticker is actually beneficial, because you can see, like I know there's one here because I can see the ripple. So what you want to do is, I love this tool. I don't even know where I got this. This came with some vinyl that I got. You can buy these. This comes also in like the Cricut pack that comes with these. So I have a backup one because I bought a Cricut pack, but these are the ones I grabbed today. This I will link in the drop-down menu, tools that you can use to do this. So I can see that this is where one of those vinyls is. So I'm using that point to get in there and to get under it and to start lifting it away. So this is where the Mod Podge would have been a lot more handy than the spray adhesive, because it would actually dry, as opposed to the spray adhesive is always tacky. It doesn't dry completely. So you see I'm just lifting the decal away carefully. And this is going to be a very tedious process, guys. This is even more tedious than weeding a vinyl because you want to be very careful not to accidentally scrape the paint and the glitter away. You want to just remove just the vinyl. So this is where it becomes quite tedious because you just got to be careful and slowly lift it little by little away from the cup. All right, so I'm going to speed this up so you guys don't have to watch this in very slow motion, and we'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm set up a little bit differently with the camera. I wanted to get the camera directly into the cup so you could see what I'm doing. And I am going to show you a little bit of weeding because I was going to do it all on high speed so you don't have to tediously watch me. And then I realized I didn't really give you a lot of tools, directions on how to do this part. So I take my weeding tool and I just tap. And you can feel when it's hitting stainless steel as opposed when it hits vinyl. You can feel like it's a firm stainless steel, like a firm feel or a kind of a softer feel. So like I can feel that there is a sticker under here, and there is. So see, so when you tap, you can also listen for a more clear noise as opposed to a more dull, like thunk, 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 and a tap, tap, tap. It makes it a little bit different of a noise when you hit that vinyl. And then you can also just kind of scrape in and pull it out. All right. So happy accident was using that spray adhesive, guys. And I want to kind of walk over that real quick what happened. So I started removing the vinyl early, probably a little too early. I was thinking earlier would be better than later because I was worried that it was going to lift the glitter. So I started removing it. Well, removing it early actually lifted the glitter. As you can see here on some of these little lines, it removed the glitter off of there. And you can see right in here, some of the glitter lifted up. So then I got really, really frustrated and I was worried I was going to actually have to strip this cup. And I hate stripping cups. I never do it. I always try to repair. So I walked away from it and thought about how I'm going to go through and fix this. And I am going to actually go in with a tiny little tool and reapply some adhesive onto these areas and resprinkle glitter just on those areas. However, I'm not going to do that on camera today because it's not part of this tutorial. I did figured out that when I walked away, it was about 45 minutes before I came back to this cup, and that adhesive spray had cured up a little bit. It doesn't ever completely dry. It will always be slightly tacky, but it had firmed up enough to where when I pulled it, it pulled away clean. So you can see now the difference between this one where it pulled up the glitter and these over here where it pulled away clean. So that was actually a really happy accident. I've never used that specific spray adhesive. It is the Scotch Super 77. And now probably from this day forward, I will use this to do my double glitters because that worked really, really well. I never thought I would get good coverage, glitter coverage with this stuff. I just assumed I had to use Mod Podge. So awesome, happy accident today. But I wanted to show you that and tell you I would definitely recommend doing it that way instead of the Mod Podge way because that was awesome. And then I wanted to kind of give you an idea of how to find all your sorry, I'm still listening. I'm listening as I'm tapping. I wanted to show you how to find all your vinyl. So you want to tap and listen. You can also scrape a little bit and listen. If you scratch through the surface, that's the bonus of this adhesive spray because it doesn't actually completely cure ever. So if you scratch it, you just can tap it back down and fix it. So anywhere that you accidentally lift up some of the glitter, just push it back down or sprinkle a little glitter on and push it back down. So now we're getting to this point where we need to get all these little details out and they're pretty hard to find, all these small little pieces. So what I did was I now have my computer up over here. It's a little blurry because it's out of focus over there, but you can see this is the image I used to cut it. And so I'm looking at that image and then looking at this image and kind of gauging the spots where those little pieces would be. So I know that there's going to be a piece of vinyl right about in this area. So I'm just tapping, but I could feel it right there. So I'm just going to, oops, I scraped. I'm just going to kind of get underneath it. I think I'm digging around in the wrong spot. Okay. There we go. There, I can feel it. So you can see, I'm kind of just feeling around for it. I know it's in that area, and I got it. So, and I left a couple little marks. I just push them back down. No big deal. And that's over. All right, so I know that there's going to be one in here. I can kind of see where the vinyl is a little thicker. I mean, not the vinyl, the glitter is a little bit raised. So I also know that this is generally where a piece is going to be because I can see it in my picture. And so I'm just getting my tool in there and grabbing it. Whoop, and pull that out. And there should be another one right here. And there is. And see, I knew that was there because I'm looking up here at my picture and then I'm looking back down. Obviously it's upside down, but all right, guys, so I'm going to go through. I think that's pretty much it. I am pretty certain I've got all the vinyl off. Let's see, tap, scrape, tap, scrape. Yeah, there's no vinyl there. Okay, so I've got all the vinyl off and I'm going to go through and do a little bit of repairing on adding a little bit of glitter back to these few little spots that it came off. And then we will jump up here and we will epoxy. So I stepped away and I was going to do these repairs off camera. And then I realized I should probably do a little bit on camera. That way, if this happens to you guys, you can see what I do to repair this. And it's pretty easy. This is just a pair of really fine tipped tweezers. And I wrapped a coffee filter around it. Sorry, I have the camera zoomed in super close, so it's kind of hard to get everything in front of it. So this is just a coffee filter wrapped around the tip of these fine point tweezers. I've dipped the tip in Mod Podge. And then I'm just going to go in and basically paint, like hand paint on Mod Podge in the few little areas very carefully along the edges. Sorry, and then I have my Mod Podge just in the cap of my Mod Podge. And so I can dab that and use it just like a paintbrush and just very carefully add it to the spots. There's not really a spot there, but kind of. Just really very carefully just add it to these edges. Anywhere that I see that, and I'm just going to work it sections at a time. The reason you don't use a cotton ball or Q-tip is because you don't want those fibers around your cup, and coffee filters don't leave any fibers behind. All right, so then you would take that little section. Sorry, I'm going to take the football out of this cup so it's easier to get on and off this rack. And then just tap your glitter on it. Blow off the excess glitter and fixed. All right, so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the cup. Just very carefully. Sorry, I missed that little spot that and okay. So you can see that filled right in on all those little spots. And it's perfect. So I'm going to go and fine tooth comb like crazy OCD on this cup and fix all the little spots that lift it up, and we will be back. All right, so what I'm going to do is fix all those little spots, and then I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to clear coat it with 3 coats of the matte clear spray paint. I like Rust-Oleum, but Krylon works too. So that's what when we come back, that's where we'll be, is all spray paint, all fixed and all spray painted up. All right, see you guys soon.
All right, guys, here we go. This cup has 4 layers of clear coat on it. You can't see it, which is awesome. But what that's going to do is it's going to really hold this glitter in place. If you're not doing peekaboo and you're doing a solid color glitter, you don't need the seal coat. But if you're doing a peekaboo like this, you want the seal coat because the seal coat is going to keep that glitter from running and moving into your pretty areas. So I've got my epoxy mask on. You always want to wear one of these when you're working with epoxy. Even the no VOC, I always say just wear it, even though it's supposed to be like non-chemically. It's just not worth getting asthma or cancer or respiratory issues and infections and stuff. Okay, because this stuff is really, really, really gnarly when it's curing. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to mix your epoxy. The epoxy I use is, this specific one that I'm using today is Pro Marine. But I use Artworks, I use Crystal Clear, I've used Counterculture DIY, I've used, Creations Surfaces. I use a lot of different epoxies for different reasons, but Pro Marine I love it, so we're going to use that today. You want to mix it in equal parts, but if you don't have Pro Marine, definitely check with your manufacturer to make sure that it's equal parts, because some of them are 2 to 1. But every one that I buy, I specifically make sure that it's 1 in 1, because I just don't have time to try to remember which one I've got and which one I don't. So my rule of thumb is for a 30-ounce bottle, I use 15 milliliters of epoxy. So I'll use 7.5 milliliters of one and 7.5 milliliters of another, and that seems to give me the perfect amount. I'm just seeing this, it's a little hard to see on camera. Okay, that's right at 7.5. Woo! Oh boy, that's stuck. Woo! We almost had another on-camera disaster. This entire tutorial is almost not meant to be today because we've had so many mistakes. Whoopsie doopsies. Okay, so I'm mixing my A and B. I'm doing this for you guys because I know there's probably a lot of people who've never actually seen this video and never worked with epoxy before. Okay, and that's 7.5. So that's exactly 7.5 and 7.5, and then I'm going to mix them together and apply them to this cup. I'm going to use this silicone makeup brush. Epoxy does not stick to this when it's dried, so just leave it alone, and it will dry, and you can just crack it off, and it just pops right off, or you can wipe it off. This one I actually used just previously for a few minutes ago with a different tutorial that I'm working on at the same time as along with this one, and I just cleaned it off, and I can use it again. So silicone is a great thing. This will be linked in the drop-down menu for the supply list. Okay, and this is why I have my chemical mask on, guys. When you start mixing these together, a lot of people complain about the smell, and it makes me crazy because I'm like, you shouldn't be able to smell it if you're wearing a chemical mask. So a lot of people in this industry doing this are not wearing their chemical masks, and it's very dangerous for your health. Okay, so I'm going to switch you guys over to high speed. You don't need to watch me tediously apply this. Also, you're seeing a different turner here than you normally see because my turners are all being used right now, and this is my backup turner. You can even see I've got janky little screws sticking out here. This is my backup turner, but I want to keep going and get these tutorials up for you guys, so you're seeing a different turner than you normally see. Okay guys, so I just finished applying that first layer of epoxy. I've still got my chemical mask on, so I still sound like Darth Vader. I've still got my nitrile gloves on. Now we're going to torch this because even though it's covered in glitter, there's still going to be micro bubbles that you can't see, but they're on there. And they will affect the texture of the top of the surface. It will not leave a glassy finish. I don't expect a glassy finish on this first layer because there's going to be little bits of glitter peeking through and stuff that are punching through because they're a little higher than the rest of the cup. But we're going to do a couple layers on this. But again, I just want to make sure we get all the bubbles out. The reason you use a torch over a heat gun, so there's a lot of discussion around this. A heat gun will pop some of the big bubbles, but it will not really affect much for the tiny little micro bubbles. And the heat gun will heat up the epoxy and get the epoxy moving. So like if you're trying to do a swirl or a marble, you want to heat the epoxy so the epoxy moves a lot. And it also, if you're trying to move epoxy like to the front, to the top of the cup that's gone to the bottom, you can move it with the heat of a heat gun because it's got pressure behind the blow. This has no pressure because it's not blowing any air. So the heat gun will actually blow epoxy where you want it. This will just pop bubbles. This will heat up your epoxy and get it moving, and it will pop bubbles. So I was going to say, if you're only going to buy one or the other tool, buy this one. Because even though this won't physically move the epoxy, this will heat the epoxy up that will get it spinning and moving. So if you only can afford one tool, go with this one. Again, links will be down in the description because I know you guys are going to ask me a lot of questions about it. So I've made it very easy for you, and I've searched for a really good price on one. It's the same one that I have here. So you're just going to go over this and torch it really quick, and you won't even see much happening because this is a dark glitter. But there's just from experience of seeing what I know it does on a light one, because you can really see it when you work with light glitter. I know it's popping a ton of little micro bubbles. And you want to keep it moving really quick, because you will burn this epoxy very, very fast. This is a blue flame, which means it's very hot. I mean, a white flame means it's a very, very hot flame. So we just want to move quickly. Just as it's going around, just hit it one time. And again, this is just a nice first coat. We're going to keep coating it. All right, so there we go. We have that stage, guys. I'm going to let this roll and cure. I will probably come back and do a second layer right before I go to bed tonight. I'm not going to do that one on camera. It's going to be identical to the one I just did. It'll just make it a little thicker. And then we will be back with this cup tomorrow for the next steps, all right?
Here she is. She's beautiful. I'm freaking out. Like, I always say this might be my favorite cup, but this might be my favorite cup. And I'm super excited. So what I did, as this was turning, these tutorials are always an evolution for me. I start with an idea of what I want, and then as I see it come to completion, I think of things. I'm like, oh, I would really love to put some these are holographic coral. This is just Cricut Premium Coral Holographic. I actually got this in a mixed pack, so that I got like 4 different types of holographic colors, and they were all in one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dab these around, and I'm gonna make sure they're like in line with these other ones, but it's just gonna add like a little pop of a color, a little more texture and shine and glimmer. This cup is gonna be like the glitteriest, craziest, beautiful glitter cup ever. Not only that, but then I'm gonna put Kiss the Girl on the bottom, because I always put a little something cute on the bottom. And let's see, we'll start with that. So I've got this on my transfer paper. I cut this out with my Cricut. If you don't have a Cricut and you want to add fun decals, you can buy stickers and decals and all kinds of cool stuff at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, the dollar store. All those places sell stickers. And again, you don't have to mimic exactly what I'm doing. If you want to, it doesn't bother me, but you can just kind of create your own. This is just an idea of showing you how to do the double glitter peekaboo. And I thought it would look beautiful with this mermaid, so I'm gonna stick with it. And then I just put the holographic Kiss the Girl on the bottom. So it's a fun little detail. And now I'm gonna use the transfer paper to just grab 1 or 2 of these little scales and add them to the cup in random places. Just dot them around. But I want them to line up in the right spot to be in the pattern of the other scales. They're just gonna be like fun little detail added to the cup. Oh, that's gonna be so cool under epoxy. Make sure you rub it down and get it attached really, really well. So this is just to add, like I said, more texture and just a little extra sprinkle of glitz. I'm not gonna add a ton of it, just a little here and there. Oh, that one's, sorry, starting over. That one has like a little piece cut off of it, so it's not perfect. We need perfect. All right, where was I gonna stick that? Right here? All right, there we go. And so I'm just gonna keep dotting these around on the cup. I'm gonna do the same thing as I did before, where I'm gonna put the big ones on the bottom and the little ones throughout the top, just so it kind of changes the texture as it goes up and adds just a little more visual fun. And we will speed this up, and you guys we'll be back with the next step. All right, you guys can see where I've placed all those. I've just dotted them around randomly. I'm just gonna change the angle because I know that the light and this camera are gonna pick these up differently at different angles. So you can see where I have stuck them around randomly. It's not necessarily lined up, but it's just to add, like I said, texture and a very fun look, and just make this cup really pop and have a little extra bright color to it that blends in with this coral. It's just a little darker version of the coral. It's gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this big glitter bad boy on the turner, and I'm going to put a good solid coat of epoxy over the top. This one didn't need any sanding. It's pretty smooth because that glitter is down pretty tight. So I'm not going to really need to sand this cup, maybe a tiny bit along this edge, but I'm going to get one more coat of epoxy on it, maybe, and then do a light dusting of sanding down here, and then add a second coat of epoxy. So this one will be getting one more coat of epoxy and a second coat if I do end up needing to do a little bit of sanding. So we will come back when that is all done. You guys have already seen me epoxy on camera, so I'm not going to do that today. So we will be back with the finished cup. Here she is, guys. She is all finished. I thought I was going to end up having to do a little sanding or a little patchwork on this one just because there's so many layers of so many different things. But I put a good solid final coat over the holographic stickers that I added, and it covered really, really well. So I have nothing to fix up or work on with you guys for the rest of this video. The edges are nice and smooth. The bottom is nice and flat. There's no bumps or anything to work on, so she's all done. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I try to definitely respond within the first 24 hours of a video being released. After that, it might get a little patchy. Jump on over to my Facebook group and feel free to ask as many questions there. I'm a lot more active there with answering questions. I try to catch them here on YouTube. But YouTube doesn't always alert me that you've asked a question. It only gets about every fourth one. So I'm missing some questions because I just am not being notified that they're there. So check my Facebook group. The link will be in the drop-down menu, as well as a list of very common supplies I'm asked about for making tumblers. All the like the display that I use here, the brushes that I use to apply, the rotisserie motor that I use for my rotisserie, for my turner. There's links to everything. I've shopped around, found some really good prices for you guys, and linked it to you guys so you can easily grab what you need. And I hope you learned something on this tutorial. Subscribe to see all the awesome stuff I'm going to keep releasing for you guys. Ring that bell, that way you don't miss a thing. And join our Facebook group. Have a lot of fun. We're very supportive, getting on the fun. We play a lot of games, and there's a lot of help and support from other members. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Have fun and keep creating.